perfect game for Roy Halladay.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, George Ryder. You can follow him on Twitter at _George Ryder. I got it right that time, Billy.
There you go, buddy.
Gint is unable to make it today. He has to run the practice because he's Mr. Cool over here. And Snap, it should be with us shortly. I gotta fix this background, man. I do not like this black background
right now. Look at this.
Hold on. I know, we're going to be talking a lot of Sixers, especially to start the show. But how about we go with this?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
A little fight in Phil's background.
I think we all know what's going on today. Well, JT's back talk.
So, do you want to start with that? Since we'll wait for Snap, hopefully, to get into the Sixers-Lakers matchup last night and break that down.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, George. So, the Philadelphia Phillies, Dombrowski, you were not a huge fan, not in favor of the hire at first.
No, sir.
He's brought in some bullpen pieces, Archie Bradley, Jose Alvarado. Believe there's another one that he brought in, Coonrod or whatever, right? And then he does what everyone's been hoping and praying and wishing for, and that's re-signing JT Realmuto. He brings him back to Philadelphia on a 5-year, $115 million deal. I believe it's just north of $20 million annually, which it does not break the bank and break records as the most amount of money total for a catcher in MLB history. However, it is the most AAV, I believe, George, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for a catcher in MLB history. So he wanted big money. He got big money. However, I forget if Dibes had said it yesterday on the Daily Dose. What's one thing we did, George? We ripped Matt Klentak a lot. Right? For not bringing back JT, blah, blah, blah. You're going to lose him. You gave up Sixto to Miami. What are you doing? Just pay the man. Dude, he read the market like spot on.
Perfectly.
Like literally read the market to a T. And we ripped them.
Thank you they were very smart in the whole process signing JT. They read it perfectly. 5 years, 115 mil, it's a steal. I will take that any day. And with the pandemic, if there's no pandemic, he's probably getting 6 for 140 maybe.
Yeah, I'd say a little more.
Yeah, maybe 150. And yeah, he broke Joe Mauer's AAV record. He's getting 23 mil a year technically.
Okay, wow, so he's even higher than I thought.
Yep.
And what is Bryce again? This is something we talked about before here.
26.3.
Okay, exactly. So that was my point before. The overall number doesn't need to be that high because we were talking about how JT there was the rumor that he wants to be paid not just the highest catcher, but as one of the top tier overall players in the MLB. Mm-hmm. And okay, well, that doesn't normally happen, but what's Bryce's AAV? So Bryce got the big deal for $330 million, but he's here for a freaking lifetime. Yeah. So it's just over 25, 26 a year. Well, JT's just over 23. Dude, you're right there with who we paid to be one of the richest contracts in MLB history as far as annually goes. So he's back. That's done. He's brought in some bullpen help. Best catcher in baseball is back behind home plate for the Phillies. However, George, what does it mean? Because it's a great contract. We got him for literally what they figured out the market to be months ago. They waited out. They brought him back. What does it mean, though, going forward? Because to me, there's still holes on this team, but I don't think they're as far off as everyone else does. People think that the Phillies are the worst team in this division still. People think maybe fourth. I think the Miami Marlins take a huge step back this year in a 162-game season. And then, obviously, the rest of the division, it might be the best division in baseball. The Mets have gotten way better. The Braves are the Braves, and they've improved. And the Nationals have gotten better, okay? So maybe you're the fourth, but I think the Phillies can travel from fourth up to 2, maybe 1 in the division, depending on some more moves they make. How far off do you think they are? What does signing JT mean for this team, in your opinion?
Signing JT definitely means we are moving in the right direction. Getting this guy under contract, finally, we've been waiting for it. We got him, best catcher in baseball. He's on the roster. We're good, locked in. There's still holes to be filled, especially with this division. Everybody's getting better. I mean, the Mets are just all over the place. They're about to – I think they're going to sign Trevor Bauer, it looks like. It looks like they offered him around $30 million a year. I don't see any other team that's going to gun for him like the Mets are gunning for him. We are not the worst team in this division. I think the Marlins are. I think a lot of people think we're the worst team in the division. I see a lot of people on Twitter talking about how it doesn't matter. We're still terrible. No, it's not true. We're missing bullpen. We need bullpen help. We could use maybe a middle infielder. Maybe we trade for a center fielder. Like, there's holes to be filled, but I don't think we're as far off as people think. I think right now I would still put us fourth in the division. I would, sadly, but
As constructed now, yes. I agree.
I could still see us being third in the division, maybe fighting for a wild card spot, maybe even second, depending on how the Nationals like pan out and everything. I don't think we're as far off as people think. I really don't.
No, I agree 100%. As constructed, they're basement of this division, maybe fourth. I agree. But there's no way that Dombrowski comes here with his pedigree of turning franchises around and win now mode, and he brings in bullpen pieces, which we needed, not just your ordinary bullpen pieces, guys that get outs, throw hard. They got stuff, right, George? Alvarado's got stuff. Archie Bradley's got stuff. They throw hard, high velocity guys. Kent says, "Come on, man! I was speaking. Kent, you threw me off."
Come on.
So he did that. You bring JT back for $115 million, over $23 a year. You don't do that and have Bryce Harper if you're content with being the fourth best team in the NL East. Doesn't happen.
No.
So I don't think he's done making moves. Where do the holes lie? Where do they need to be improved? You mentioned the bullpen. Obviously, they're coming off an historically bad bullpen. They've already added 3 arms. Are they getting anybody healthy back?
No.
Is Robertson off his deal?
Robertson's off the deal, but I wouldn't mind like signing him to a cheap 1-year deal.
What about Sir Anthony? How long till Sir Anthony's back?
Dude, that's like up in the air. Nobody even knows.
Okay.
Even if he does come back, man, Sir Anthony healthy was a freaking unit. That man.
Who's the dude? This is gonna come off really wrong, but who's the dude that took the balls to the Nads?
You're talking about
was it Alvarez?
Jose Alvarez?
Yeah.
It could have been.
Well, I think remember last year he took a line drive to the nuts and then got up and made the toss to first base.
I think it was Alvarez. Remember, I was thinking Vinny at first because he got hit in the arm. And no. I mean,
so if it's Coonrad, whatever, Archie Bradley, Neris, Jose Alvarez,
Alvarado, Adam Morgan.
Oh God,
I know. See, like that's the thing. We have Archie Bradley, great. We have Hector Neris, great. We got Alvarado, great. But if you got all those guys and a bunch of scrubs, you don't have a solid bullpen that's going to actually.
No, I think they need to add 1 or 2 more pieces.
Yeah, no doubt. I still think you need to add bullpen pieces. Like I think Shane Green is still out there, which could be a move. I'm not like a huge fan of Shane Green, but he'll get the job done for us. And there's still a lot of work to be done, especially in the bullpen. I mean. After last year, like you need to do everything you can to improve.
So they're a piece or two off in the pen, and I'm not even saying this to be a great bullpen. If you can go from worst, historically bad bullpen to the 20th best bullpen in the league, like
middle of the pack,
bottom third, that's fine. That's a bullpen's still an issue. I think third starter is a huge issue.
No doubt.
People talk about center field. People talk about middle infield. Those are holes that need to be filled. We'll see what they do. I want Didi Gregorius back. He was on my wish list. I don't know what's going to happen there. Jackie Bradley Jr.'s name has been thrown around a lot in center field. But when I look at third reliever, so you have your 1-2 punch of Nola and Wheeler. Solid.
Incredible.
Are you trusting Spencer Howard to take that leap this year?
I think you have to. And I think you have to. I mean, what's the way that we're constructed right now? It's him and Eflin, and then what you have to get a fifth. I don't trust Vinny as a starter on this team.
No. But what I'm saying is you find a third,
and
you bump those 2 down in the rotation.
And Spencer Howard has a lot less pressure on him.
He's 4th, Eflin's 5th.
You
know what I'm saying?
I'll take that any day. If we can somehow add a third starter, I don't know where it's going to come from. I don't know where they're looking. If you can add a third starter to that rotation, it looks a lot better.
But dude, help me out here. So they're spending 23 whatever on JT this year. The bullpen pieces haven't cost that much.
Nope.
At all. So don't they you shed Jake Arrieta's contract off the books from last year. Don't they have a lot more money to be thrown around?
I feel like you should. And that's the thing. If you're hiring Dombrowski, what does that mean? You should be spending money, right? Like that's exactly what that means. Dombrowski is known for being the guy that comes in, spends a shitload of money, and wins now. Like
Yeah.
that's what it's supposed to be. So, I mean, I don't get why at this point you're making the moves you're making. Bryce Harper's in his prime. JT is in his prime. This is the time that you're supposed to be spending and winning now. Like that's why if Dombrowski is here, let's do it. Just go all in. Let's
Yeah.
get another arm. Let's get bullpen arms. Let's re-sign Didi because now that Didi's like the only shortstop out there because Simmons signed and Galvis signed. Thankfully, I did not want Galvis back. But I feel like Didi's like a no-brainer. He wants $15 million a year, but fuck it, give it to him. The tender offer this year was going to be 1 for 18. If you'll take a 1-year deal, 15 mil, 2 years, 30 mil, I'll take it. It's a perfect stopgap for Bryson Stott. Like, I feel like it just makes sense right now.
So let's get back to JT for a second because just how good he is. Shout out to Paul Hembakitis, who's a friend, been on the Phaithful Phanatics, been on the Daily Dose before. Put this tweet out this morning. How good is JT Realmuto? Phillies in the last 2 seasons. JT Realmuto starts, they're 94 and 84, a plus 46 run differential, 259 batting average as a team, 5.2 runs per game as a team. The games he does not start, 15 and 29, minus 71 run differential, 204 batting average, 3.4 runs per game.
Bryce said it on Instagram. He said QB1. That like JT runs that team when he is catching. He is the commander in chief. Like that's what he does. From framing to defense to the arm to second base, third base. Like this man is incredible. He's
he's a catcher that could literally give you 25 to 30 home runs in a full season.
No doubt. And also like I understand he's 30, and that's always scary to sign a catcher to a 5-year deal when he's 30. But you got to put into account that he didn't really start catching until he was like 19 years old.
Yeah.
And he could be just as fine at 35 as he is now behind the plate. Because what did we sign him for, really? We signed him for his defense. We signed him for what he does behind the plate. He's a great at the plate for a catcher. Obviously not for any other position, but he's a great hitter for a catcher. But we signed him primarily for his defense. And I don't think a 5-year deal is as scary as other catchers would be. Like you have catchers that are catching since they're 10 years old and in college, everything. Like I'm very, very excited about that.
So JT Realmuto is back with the Philadelphia Phillies for 5 more years. I'm excited. I'm not as down as everyone else is because the way I look at it, dude, even as constructed, this is basically the same team as constructed. Let's just say minus Didi Gregorius, right? So exit Didi, insert a couple bullpen arms, right? Well, what was the issue last year? Why didn't you make the playoffs? Why couldn't you win the division? Your bullpen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
the reason I'm not so down is he's addressed that. Is there still more work to be done? Yes. But to be so like, oh my God, we're going to suck. Dude, they should have made the playoffs if they didn't have an historically bad bullpen.
We were like, it was like, I forget the stat, but after leading after like 6, it was historically bad that we lost games after that. Like it was terrible. It was absolutely awful.
All right, let me address this comment here from Mark because I said this on the Daily Dose yesterday. Odubel Herrera, yeah or nay, do you want him back on the team? So he is back, I believe, as I announced yesterday on the Daily Dose. I'm going to look at this from a strictly baseball standpoint, right?
Understandable.
I think he's a shitty person.
Mm-hmm. I think everybody thinks that.
Yeah. So there's that whole question, right? Locker room, PR, do you want him back? Blah, blah, blah. If you bring him back, now let's look at it from a baseball standpoint, as my center fielder to go in between Kutch and Bryce Harper. I'm saying, yeah. I know he hasn't played in, almost 2 years probably. Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, that's how he looks in camp. If he looks awful in camp, like a guy that hasn't played in 2 years, that's no. But if he is Odubel of before, dude was an all-star a couple years ago. And if it's Odubel Herrera, slightly, a little less than an all-star, compared to Adam Hazley and Roman Quinn, from a baseball perspective, I'm starting Odubel Herrera. Everyone wants to talk about the great speed that Roman Quinn has. Fantastic.
Lethal on the base.
He can't get on base. You know where he's really. Ginn said this yesterday. You know where he shows his speed? Running back to the dugout after he gets out. That's where he shows his freaking speed. And then Hazley, I want to like Hazley, and he shows glimpses in the batter's box. But he's not good enough, man. It all comes down to Odubel spring training, how he mends things with the Phillies, and how he looks in spring training. And if he's any type of the player he was, and I'm not saying he was a great player for the Phillies, but he was an all-star a few years ago. Can you say the same about Adam Hazley or Roman Quinn? Not a chance. So that's who I'll take. All three of them are going to be streaky in the batter's box. I'll take his streaky bat over the other two streaky's bat. And, I mean, he's probably better than both of them in the field.
I'm kind of on the fence because I made it like vocal. I'm not a big fan of Adam Hazley either. You know this. I don't.
Yeah.
The hype around him in the beginning was like, I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he's pretty good at the plate. He's all right defensively, but I still think I'm taking Hazley over Odubel right now, if I'm being honest. I just Odubel was good, yeah, but Odubel wasn't great. Like Odubel wasn't great at the plate. He never had an OPS over 800. He just I don't know what he's gonna be in 2019. I think he played.
Me neither.
I think in 2019 he played like 30 games, and then now who knows after everything that's gone down. And I don't want to obviously I want to keep it to a baseball standpoint. I just don't like him as a person. I don't think anybody does. I think we all agree on that. He's an asshole. I like Odubel. I don't know why he's still on my roster. I don't
It's a fair point.
I think I would rather take a chance on Hazley and Quinn platoon than Odubel, or I'd even trade for JBJ or Benintendi. I think.
Oh, absolutely. I'll take Jackie Bradley Jr. here in a heartbeat.
I think it's very possible that it happens. Dombrowski still obviously has ties to Boston, and I don't think they're scared to trade it with us. They just traded one of their, I think it was top 15 prospect, number 14 on the prospect list for them. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of Odubel. I'm not really excited about him being back, but if that's the case and he does have a good,
I'm not excited at all.
Yeah, but if he has a good spring training, hey, whatever, I'll take it.
Yeah. That's from a baseball standpoint. Do not cancel us.
Yes, don't cancel us.
Let's switch gears. George, sorry. So he's talking again. To here. Just talked about it on the daily. I did not know this. The Phillies owe him 10.4 this year.
Yeah, that's why. That's the only reason he was on the roster, because they just owe money, and it would cost more to just cut him.
Wow. Well, I think he'll be back then.
I guess we'll see what happens, right?
All right, let's switch gears. Just talked about this game for 55 minutes, but I'll talk about it for another 55 minutes again if I want to. Philadelphia 76ers take down the LA Lakers 107-106 last night, George, at the Wells Fargo Center. They improved to 13-6, best record, number one seed in the Eastern Conference to start almost 20 games through. Last night was a great barometer test, gauge where this team is in a lot of people's eyes. I wasn't looking at it fully like that. But the outcome, with the way you saw them run and compete with the Lakers and end up finishing them, closing them out at the end, it was a great test. So let's dissect this game.
Let's do it.
Let's start with Ben Simmons.
Came out with a freaking vengeance.
17-point triple-double. First 6 points for the Sixers, or had 6 of their first 8 or 9 points. What were your thoughts on Ben Simmons last night? Had a follow around LeBron James for about 39 minutes. Got beat with a couple backdoor plays early in the first quarter, but bounced back, I thought. Didn't get into foul trouble. Took it right into AD's chest, right into LeBron's chest, and finished at the rim. You do not win that game without Ben Simmons last night. You just don't.
Flat out, no. I mean, he came out aggressive. He came out hard. He played great. He had a 17-point triple-double. And when you're trailing LeBron the whole game, obviously LeBron's going to get his. And then get, 34 points or something?
Yeah.
Obviously. But, damn, Ben Simmons, after everything that's gone down and after everybody's been very down on him, talking down on him, that was a game against the defending champions that you needed him to come out and do what he did. And that amazing statement game for Ben. 17-point triple-double was just what you needed. And especially him just coming out of the gate firing. It was incredible to watch.
I absolutely agree. He only had one turnover also.
Yeah, I was going to
Huge.
love that. Love to see that.
So you don't win that game without Ben Simmons. Let's just look at it from a full landscape, George. What was great about last night, and I said this literally a half hour ago, but I'm going to keep repeating myself here on the Phaithful Fanatics. What was great about last night is the fact that it didn't take any weird circumstances to beat them. Our stars beat their stars. We controlled the first 45 minutes of the game. They went on a run in the final 3, and then we closed them out with a Tobias Harris jumper. Here he is, late boy.
Hey, what's
Sorry
up?
Sorry about that. I'm here.
You're good. We're on Sixers talk. Just jumped into it.
Perfect.
So my point is, it didn't take you to shoot extremely efficient. You didn't shoot the lights out beyond the arc. You didn't get to the foul line 20 more times than they did. It didn't take your bench a Herculean effort and outperform their bench by a wide margin. LeBron James and Anthony Davis played that game to win the game. They played extremely well. They were fully healthy. So it didn't take any weird circumstances for this Sixers team to beat the defending champs. And that was one of the most impressive things last night. Seth Curry had 2 points in 31 minutes. Couldn't buy a bucket. Shake Milton only gave them 8 or 9 off the bench. And outside of that, they got nothing. 0 from Howard, 2 from Maxey, 1 from Tease, a few from Furkan went 2 of 3 from 3, and another bucket or something like that. He gave him like 7 or 8. So your stars beat their stars, and that was the most beautiful thing. My other takeaway, George and Snap, is there was going to be a gigantic, lesson to be learned in the final 3 minutes of that game, because we would have been having a much different conversation today if Tobias Harris doesn't hit that jumper. You dominate from start to finish. 3:05 left in the game. Lakers go on a 13-0 run. The Sixers' first field goal, first point within the last 3 minutes was that Tobias Harris jumper. And you pull it out. That was huge for me as well. Like to not be afraid of the defending champs. The moment wasn't too big. You weren't intimidated. You step up, you blow a huge lead, and you answer back with the final possession in 10 seconds, and you knock it down. Last night was huge for so many reasons early in the season. George, big takeaways from last night.
Big takeaways from last night is when you can run with the defending champions with a healthy starting 5, who's, by the way, 10-0 when healthy, that says a lot. It speaks volume. Like, obviously, if Toby doesn't hit that shot, we're having a completely different conversation, but he did. And he's been playing like a max player for a majority of the season. He has been incredible. I think this starting 5 healthy, last night they proved they could run with anybody. If Ben Simmons is playing like that and he's getting 17-point triple-double, if AD is scared to guard Joel Embiid, this team is lethal. It's incredible. Dude, watching Joel Embiid is just absolutely, like, we're so lucky to get to watch him every single night. And national television got to see it. When he's in the paint, like, he's either scoring a buck or he's getting fouled.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing else to it. It's incredible to watch this. And when you have Steph Curry, I think he had 2 points.
Seth.
He was Seth. There you go again. He 2 points. I think he was over 3 from 3, like 1 for 6 in the field or something. When he's shooting like that and we still win against the Lakers, huge. You love to see that.
Before I throw it to Snap, my final point is going off of what you said, George. You ran with the Lakers for 48 minutes. You competed with the Lakers. You closed them out. So I don't want to hear any negativity from people today. They come out and don't show up in Minnesota. They'll all come out of the woodwork. Fine. You can be negative for a day. I don't want to hear it today, and I'll tell you why. What is everyone complaining for? If you can run with the Lakers, if you can compete with the Lakers, you can compete with anybody in the NBA. I'm not saying the 76ers are going to beat the Lakers in a 7-game series or beat the Bucks in a 7-game series or beat the Nets in a 7-game series, but you can run with them. And if you run with them, you can beat them. And isn't that where we just want to be at the end of the year, with a chance to be to compete with the top dogs in the league and in the East? Yes, it is. So enjoy the freaking ride. They're in first place in the East for almost 20 games of the 72-game season, and they just beat the defending champs last night with 2.4 seconds left. Maybe the most exciting NBA game of the season. Snap, go ahead.
I mean, last night told you a ton of things, man. It told you that the Sixers are a legitimate team. They can compete with the best, and they can go for it like a playoff team. Last night was the closest thing to a playoff game we've seen this team play this year. It was also the most entertaining game of the year. Yeah, number one versus number one on the road. Lakers are undefeated. Sixers are 10-1 on the road. You couldn't have asked for a better matchup, and the Sixers showed you they can hang with the best of them. Not only did they lead this team by 10 points a majority of the game, yeah, they let them slip at the end. They slipped up on defense at the end of the game. They got a bad call with an offensive foul late game, but they still managed to close. Tobias Harris still managed to come up big. Joel Embiid still managed to dominate in the paint like he has all year, even though everyone in the world is telling me Anthony Davis is Defensive Player of the Year and Marc Gasol is throwing him fits. And you still get 17-point triple-double from Ben Simmons, a guy who's been playing so much more aggressive recently and been playing like himself and not being so passive on offense. The whole team looked phenomenal last night. Doc Rivers is a legitimate head coach, and it shows. Everything about this team is different than last year, and it's not in a big way. It's in the small ways. It's in the way they run half-court sets. It's in the way that these players are playing for them. It's utilizing Tobias Harris to the best of his ability. Everything about last night should make you happy. I'm not trying to go off the walls about it because it's early in the season still, and this is probably the best team we've played, but that's why I'm excited. It's the best team we played. It's the former champs, and it's arguably the best team in the NBA. And you just went out there and beat them at home. No fans. None of this other extra stuff that people can say, oh, well, if they had fans or, oh, they're on the road. No, you went out there and you kicked the shit out of the Lakers. You
for 48 minutes.
Yeah, you made sure you stayed in the game for once. I absolutely loved last night's performance. I think the Philadelphia 76ers are a contender. I wouldn't have told you that before last night because of how good I think the top of the East is and the top of the West is. But last night they just showed it. You didn't win by an amazing amount of threes or a fluke. You grinded it out with the best team in the NBA.
Yeah, you did. And we're going to get to Toby in a second. Look, Joel was Joel last night, right? That's just flat out.
Yeah.
13 points in the first quarter, finished with 28 and 6 and 4, I believe. Hurt his back. It tightened up at the end. You could tell he wasn't trying to get down in the paint. He was fading away, settling for jumpers late. They were coming up short. You had to defer to Tobias Harris. What does he do? Sees the smaller out, gets the switch. I don't know why the Lakers switched on that, by the way, because they didn't have to. With the LeBron and Caruso matchup on Seth and Toby. They didn't have to switch that. They do. Toby gets the smaller Alex Caruso on him, gets to a spot, pulls up over him, knocks it down. That was huge to see. Tobias Harris gives you 24. But I want to turn back to Ben for a second. Ben did everything last night. He tried to cover LeBron for 39 minutes almost. He stuffed the stat sheet with a 17-point triple-double, as you said, Billy. But the thing to me is when me and Gint broke down the game before it started, the Lakers are arguably the best defensive team in the NBA. Like everything, their defensive rating, opponent field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, everything. And we are top 4 or 5 in pace. Well, how did Ben use that pace to get buckets? And one thing that stuck out to me, not only early in the game when we got up on them early, but to start the second half in the third quarter, it was only a 4-point game. And real quickly like that, we were back up double digits. Why? Because Ben Simmons pushes the pace. Bang, Danny Green, open 3 in transition. Bang, Tobias Harris, open 3. Bang, Furkan Korkmaz, open 3. All facilitated from 2-5, pushing the pace. That was gigantic last night.
I mean, Ben Simmons probably had his best game of the season this year. And it's because he stayed aggressive. And not only did he stay aggressive, he started aggressive. These are the things we've been wanting to see from Ben. I understand how talented of a player Ben Simmons is. That's why I'm critical of him. He's a max player. People want to call him a superstar. He's an all-star player on a giant contract who's a first overall pick. We can be critical of him, and I want him to play like this. I don't need to see the jumper every single night. I just need to see him put his offensive will on teams. This is a guy that took us on a 16-game win streak by himself. When you're going against the best competition in the league, you stay aggressive, and that's what Ben did last night. He came out and opened up with 6 points for the team. When he plays like that, and everyone else plays the best they can, this team's unstoppable. Not only did he play great offense, he was on everyone last night. He started on LeBron. He played AD. He was on Dennis Schroeder. He played so many people on defense last night. It was hard to keep count. He was phenomenal last night, and the facilitating's great. And just because that game wasn't the fastest paced game, it gave me hope that he won't be this 1-point scorer in the playoffs. You know what I mean? He was getting it done, picking his right moments in transition to go off, or he was picking his right moments in a half-court set to get a bucket. So I think everything that Ben Simmons did last night was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Absolutely. And somehow I checked the box score this morning.
Yeah, he was like minus 11.
Minus 11. And I think because he played like 3 more minutes, I think the next closest was 36. And when you attribute the 3-minute 13-0 run at the end of the game, I think that played into it. Him playing more minutes and being on the floor for that spurt. So that sucked. But outside of that, he was phenomenal. And then Tobias Harris. You know, you talked about defensively Ben Simmons. Dude, he had a switch on the Marc Gasol later, like a lot during the game. Played him well. And then there's one possession that is stuck in my mind of him guarding AD, and AD gets into the paint, backing him down, and he's standing pat, and he's got his arms straight up, and AD picks up his dribble, and he's shoulder, can't get open, shot clock winding down, throws it over to Tobias, barely hits the front of the rim, we're going the other way. He played such good defense in what Gant and I thought before the show he was going to have a huge disadvantage on the defensive end against. Because you look at it, it's a top 5 player, probably top 6 player in Anthony Davis in the world, who he's smaller than, and AD is going to have his way with him. Or if you have to switch that to go on Marc Gasol is just a gigantic human being. Tobias Harris
the other way to LeBron James.
Yeah, and he played very well defensively. Offensively, dude, he just gave you 24 against the Lakers with the game winner with 2 seconds left. And he's shooting so efficiently. He's making such quick decisions. His catch and shoot numbers from 3 are way up. He's finishing through contact at the rim so much more lately. Outside of that opener against Washington, this dude has been phenomenal. And what I keep saying to Gint is that the games where he's not going off for 20 plus and he's giving you 16, 17, 18, those are quiet Tobias Harris nights. And if that's a quiet Tobias Harris night, 17, 18 points, that's a phenomenal thing for the Sixers team going forward. George, thoughts on Tobias Harris last night?
Like we said it preseason, like beginning of the year, that what was his best years that he had? It was under Doc Rivers, and there's no reason not to be optimistic about Toby. The year started off shaky for him, but goddamn, he has been so freaking good for us. And if he can play defense like this for the rest of the year, that is incredible for this team, like all around. So if Tobias keeps playing like he is, legitimate contenders, that's what the Sixers are. Like Tobias Harris is the number 3 guy. You got like Joel, Ben, and Toby. That's the 3 that I love. Like that is the 3 that you can go and you can contend with in the East.
3 All-Stars.
3 All-Stars. We're number 1 in the East for a reason. And Tobias Harris is a huge part of that. Last night was just like cherry on top. Like national TV against the LA Lakers, like everything was just set in stone for us. Ben Simmons looked incredible. Tobias Harris out there shooting the lights out. I think he was like 10 for 16 or something from the field. Yeah. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see.
So think about this for a second, though, right, guys? So that's all great. And you ended up beating them, but you beat them by 1, but you dominated and you were up 10 plus multiple spurts throughout the game. That is and Danny Green was very solid, by the way, last night. From 3-point line.
Played fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
But that's with 2 points and 30. Good.
Yeah, like especially in Curry's absence, like he didn't look good at all. Like,
so
you can do that.
Shake only gives you 8 or 9 off the bench. Furkan only hit 2 threes. It's not like Furkan gave you 5 threes or whatever. Yeah. It's It's not like he went off. Matisse gave you 1. Howard was unplayable. Maxey gave you 2. Seth gave you 2 in 31 minutes.
Yeah.
And you still beat the Lakers.
Optimism. There's
There's
else.
circumstances to this stuff, guys. It's not like Seth went off from 3. It's not like Shake gave you 26 off the bench. Nothing like that. Your stars, pound for pound, beat their stars. And I would just have to think, like, when you're going against the up later in the season, that you're not just going to get 2 points from Seth Curry. Imagine if Seth just gave you 8 last night. Imagine if Shake gave you 12.
He run away with
Turner did play incredible.
Yeah,
defense.
he did. Yeah,
There was no way Seth could get open, even
Yeah.
off the ball. It was round of applause to Dennis Schroeder last night. He's a great defensive player. But last night's game, Tobias Harris, man, like you guys have been saying, he is an all-star this year. He's close to 50, 40, 90. He's slipped a little bit in free throw percentage.
He's over 20 a game.
He's over 20 a game. I mean, Doc Rivers is really the Tobias Harris whisperer. Ever since he comes to this program, he plays decent behind Jimmy, Ben, and Joel. Then Jimmy leaves. He picks up a lot of the offensive load. He slums out under Brett Brown. Brett Brown goes, and here's Doc Rivers, and this guy is an all-star. Every time Tobias Harris is in the mid-range, I don't expect him to miss. It's like so like nonchalant when that shit bounces off the iron. Yeah. I'm just like, oh my god, he actually missed one. Even when he takes it to the rack, this man was going chest to chest with Anthony Davis to the rim last night. And the end of the game where he hits the game-winning shot with 2.4 seconds left, I saw that switch on to Alex Caruso, and I went, he's gonna make this shot. I was like, that guy's too small for him. If you're not bigger than Tobias Harris, you know exactly what he's gonna do. He's gonna take you to that elbow just like Embiid does, and he's gonna pull up that jump shot from the mid range. And if you don't get a hand up quick enough, he's gonna drain it. And that's exactly what he did. And it was a phenomenal game. Phenomenal game from Tobias. I love seeing him thrive. I love seeing the best out of him. And I take back every mean thing I've ever said about him. I literally, earlier in the season, from the jump, was like, yo, Tobias has got to go. You got to get him out of here. He's too much money for what he does on the court. Well, now he's starting to become worth that money.
Absolutely. He was worth every penny last night, and he has shown it this season. I want to get your guys' thoughts. After AD got the layup and we called timeout, what was going, like, did you have any confidence that they were pulling this out after giving up 13 straight points?
I did, but I didn't expect it.
Yeah.
I was like,
you were hopeful.
I really hope they win this game. That's what I thought. I was like, they still got their timeout. They didn't challenge that offensive foul call.
And I wanted him to challenge that so bad.
Everyone did, but that's the reason he didn't. Yeah, I understood why he didn't. I saw they had one timeout left. I'm like, you need that in a late game situation. And if you don't get this call, they're going to strip you of that timeout and you're screwed. I thought the Lakers game, I think that play that the Lakers ran for Anthony Davis on the inbound, that was an amazing play call. Running the screen with Dennis Schroeder right there to take Joel Embiid off of him and make Danny Green have to decide to step out or go to the rack with AD was a perfect play. But yeah, when they were coming down, I just had no faith, especially at the beginning of the inbound. It looked sloppy a little bit.
Yeah, it did.
But then, like I said, Tobias Harris I saw a bald-headed Alex Caruso switch on to Tobias Harris, and Tobias Harris was facing him up on that left side of the three-point line, and I was like, oh my God, he's gonna take this on him. He's too small. I jumped up and screamed too, like a little girl. You can ask my girlfriend.
It was like a hold your breath moment, and then once you saw that switch, I had the same thought. I was like, "Oh, okay."
He hit nothing but nylon.
Like nothing but nylon.
Bro, he pulled up, raised up, and didn't hesitate for a damn second.
He knew.
And that's the difference between Tobias Harris this year and last year. It's more opportunities to take offensive shots and make offensive plays without hesitating or thinking.
Yep.
The number one thing Doc Rivers said in the beginning of the year is he dribbled too much last year. He's not one of them guys to hit you with a million moves and then score. Get him to the spot, 3 dribbles max, get to your spot, put it up, you're going to hit the shot. And he's been doing it all year. It's so great to watch.
You know what else is great to watch? And we didn't see it late in the game because the back definitely tightened up. But, Brock had said it on the feed to Embiid earlier in the week, and me and Gint were talking about it. Dude, Joel Embiid's mid-range jumper is literally becoming knockdown. Like Snap, you mentioned it with Toby, and it is the mid-range.
No, Joel Embiid's is better.
Becoming knockdown, bro. Like before, I never liked him in the mid. Not that I didn't like him in the mid range, but he was just much more effective in the post. I'm like, Joel, get your big ass down on the block and go to work because no one can guard you, dude. Now he 2 dribbles, post up, whatever he wants to do over a defender. It's knocked down 90% of the times. Like it feels like that's unbelievable. What was that, George?
That's my MVP.
He is the MVP without a doubt.
Anyone
that says Nikola Jokic, I understand. I still think the Nuggets need to take a first seed to claim that title because let's be fair here. Nikola Jokic is having a phenomenal season.
Yeah.
But Joel Embiid is having just as a phenomenal season. He's 4th in the league in fourth quarter scoring behind the Brooklyn Nets, basically. That's like a true fact. It's Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, James Harden, then Joel Embiid. So you have Joel Embiid basically one of the top 5 scorers in fourth quarter minutes. He's averaging career highs across the board. Every time this man does not touch the floor, the Sixers lose, which actually I've said it before. I said this would help or hurt his MVP case. And it kind of helps him more because as
long as he doesn't miss too much time. Yeah.
It's crazy. They lose to teams like the Detroit Pistons when he's not on the court. We would probably be fighting for a top 5 pick in the draft without him, it seems
also,
like.
Snap, what seed are they?
The first seed, damn right. They're the best team in the Eastern Conference.
And that's going to play a huge role in him getting votes. If he continues this throughout the course of a season and they're top 1 or 2 because of him and they can't buy a win without him, oh, damn right. He should be top 1 or 2 in the voting.
Yeah, close.
I think this team just needs 1 or 2 more pieces. 1 or 2 more pieces to really solidify this roster and come away.
I think a backup 4 is definitely a necessity.
A backup 4 and a veteran point guard. I could see Patty Mills being on the buying market, trying to get a guy like Patty Mills. Someone in our comments mentioned that. That's a great comment.
Yeah,
I don't see Kyle Lowry being available at the trade deadline or the buyout market. And honestly, I'm not trading for that last year, that contract. It's too much money because you'll probably have to give up a starter, and I don't want to mess up that chemistry. There it is. William just said it. The PJ Tucker is my number 1 buyout or trade at the deadline target. He's the perfect stretch 4. He plays phenomenal defense, even in an older age, and he's money from the corner, man. The last couple of years, I think he shot like 60% from 3-point in the corners, especially on catch and shoot. So those are the 2 guys I really want to bring in here. Kevin Love might hit the buyout market, another guy that you should watch the Sixers make a move for, but another team that's probably going to make a move for him if he hits the buyout market is the Brooklyn Nets, so be very cautious.
They're just trying to buy a goddamn ring.
If he hits the buyout market and he gets off his deal, he could sign a veteran minimum. So then he could actually join the roster. And if that happens, then he can join the roster. Right now, it wouldn't work with their money. They would have to trade, I think, like the remaining amount of players on their team to actually get him. But that starting 5 is very, very scary, and that helps with their depth. So that's a move I'm nervous about moving forward. But I think PJ Tucker, Patty Mills, Kevin Love, all targets the Sixers should be aiming for. And they definitely need a backup 4 because Mike Scott's not going to do it moving down the line. And that's the one position that is the thinnest on the roster. But I really would like a veteran point guard. I know everyone loves Maxey and Shake, but I think a veteran point guard with some playoff experience next to Shake could really and push Maxey farther down the bench. I kind of want him down the bench more. Like, it was a fun little thing we got to see with him. I kind of don't think he's ready for real minutes like that yet. So push him more down the bench and get a veteran point guard in here. And I think this team rounds out perfectly. And let's make
I completely agree. What was I going to say though? Oh, speaking of backups, dude, our backup 5 gets 0 love from the Zebras, bro. He gets 0. I've never seen a dude get more foul calls on him in a shorter stint.
Right? He gets so many fouls.
Did you see
put a hand on someone? They blow that whistle. It's
dude, did you see the double tech they called last night?
Double tech, dude.
Dude,
What?
he did. George, if you saw the replay, he didn't do anything, bro. Markieff Morris was just pushing him, like literally two-hand shoving him in the chest, and Dwight was just like playing through it or whatever, and they double teched him. I'm like, dude, he literally didn't do anything. He didn't say anything. He didn't push back. Nothing.
That's kind of his job, though, man. He's like this instigator. Yeah. Did you see that one clip when they played the Magic and he's screaming at Nikola Vucevic off the bench, and Nikola Vucevic has to literally turn around and leave me alone. Like,
dude, I love him off the bench. He's terrible in the starting role when Joel's out.
Oh God, yes.
The only thing I'll say, and I don't know why they do it. Doc literally, he needs to either take that out of the playbook or tell them, dude, stop doing it. When he's on the floor, I don't know if you guys noticed this, they try like 3 or 4 possessions to force feed him the ball in the paint. And it's constantly a turnover.
Needs to be catching alley-oops off pick and roll.
That is the only time he should touch the ball, bro. Because either A, it's getting turned over or he drops the pass or whatever, or B, okay, they hack him, and he stands 900 feet behind the line and chucks up a brick.
That free throw for him, oh my God.
I mean, holy shit.
He shanked the one off the right side of the iron last night, too. I was cracking up. Someone screamed afterward. I was dying. They were like, oh! Like, I was cracking up at that.
Dude.
But he plays you valuable minutes, man. He understands, though, in those 20 minutes, he can give up fouls. His job is to really just put a beating on the other center while he has time on there. I think when Joel isn't starting, you should start Tony Bradley. I really do. I think Tony Bradley gives you very valuable minutes when he plays. I'm not saying he's Dwight Howard, but I wouldn't mind seeing a look like that.
And just keeping Dwight in that backup form.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I'm sure someone will have a fit that I just said that because Tony Bradley.
Well, dude, something's got to change their 0-4 without Embiid. I mean, that's
what I mean. You got to switch up the lineups. That's another reason why you need a backup 4 too. And if you get a big 4, maybe you can run a small ball lineup with Ben Simmons.
Ben can't play with Dwight.
No, they can't because they essentially have the same offensive game in a way. They need to get underneath the basket.
Like Ben, the reason like when Joel was out for those 16, 17 games in 2017 and they won all of them and stuff like that, and Ben was able to be successful, the rest of the floor was stretch 4, stretch 5, spaced out.
They didn't even have a true center most of the time. They were running Ersan Robert Covington and JJ Redick. You had 3 guys on the floor that could hit 4 threes a game.
Yeah. So that's what it's not working. Like him and Dwight on the floor together, it's not working.
Especially when Matisse is out there too. When Matisse is part of that lineup, and then you have Furkan, and Furkan can't hit shit. That is just they are awful. Their net rating's terrible. Yeah. Terrible together. Last night it kind of worked because what you did essentially was just tell Matisse not even to touch the ball on offense, just lock up Bron, play with LeBron hard. And then Furkan actually hit some shots. And they kind of mixed the starters more into that lineup. I noticed when they first brought that lineup out, Tobias was still in that lineup. Shake was still in that lineup before they got that whole that weird lineup out there. They tried to mix everyone in. And Dwight didn't really play a lot of minutes, I feel like, last night.
No, he only played like 7. I don't think he played at all really in the second half. Joel Embiid played like the entire third quarter except like the last 45 seconds. Yeah. And then he came back in with like 7 or 8 minutes left in the fourth. So before we wrap up today's show, guys, let's look ahead at the weekend. They have a 3-game road stand coming up. But I know this weekend specifically is in Minnesota tomorrow and in Indiana against the Pacers on Sunday night. That's a fun matchup. I threw this out to Ginn earlier. You guys think JoJo travels? Because I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure he does.
Yes. What are the 3 teams coming up?
It's Minnesota tomorrow, Indiana Sunday, and then they don't play again until Wednesday. I think Charlotte or something like that.
Charlotte.
Oh, they're not going back to back in Indiana?
No.
That's weird.
I could see him. I could see him not travel until he meets up with the team for next Wednesday's game. Like
he might meet them. He might meet them in like Charlotte.
Yeah,
because of time. But I would like to see him play Indiana.
Me too. That's what I said. I mean, obviously, don't rush it. Like if the back's tight, sore, whatever, don't do it. But if he's okay, I would love to see that matchup in Indiana on the road. Would be a lot of fun. So
number 1 is it's going to be like it all year. Keep Joel healthy. Like
So let's just say this for the next 2 games, guys, over this week, Friday and Sunday. You can go. He plays. He doesn't play. Whatever you want to do. What do you think the outcome is? I think regardless, I'm kind of going 1-1. I think they win regardless tomorrow with or without him. And Sunday's a tough game in Indiana.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we're gonna go.
It's 0-2 if he doesn't play.
You think we lose to Minnesota?
Timberwolves have been getting their ass whooped a lot recently. If they have a shot to play against us and beat us, they're gonna go full fledged.
They're so fucking.
D'Angelo Russell might not play either, though.
You know,
I don't know. 1-1 probably.
And Cat's not back yet.
Yeah, COVID. He still got COVID. Probably 1-1. I hope Embiid travels, and then you just rest him against Minnesota. Like fuck playing them if Karl Anthony Towns isn't playing.
Yeah.
But if you can take him against I want to see the healthy roster against Indiana because Indiana is one of them teams that might sneak.
We can't beat them. TJ Warren's going to drop 100.
No, TJ Warren's a bum. Stop it. I don't care about any prior shit he's done in his life. No, he's not that good as people make him out to be. He can get a bucket, but let's stop it with that. Jimmy Butler showed you why he's not really a good player. Played him one time, locked him down, talked all that shit leading up to the game. But no, I want to see Embiid and the healthy lineup against Indiana because, like I'm saying, Indiana is a team that you might see at a 7th, 8th, 6th seed. They're going to be a first-round playoff team that you could possibly see going against the Sixers. And they're a sneaky good team. They have always been like that. They play really hard. They are very much – Indiana's always a blue-collar type of team.
Brogdon's averaging like 22, 23.
Yeah, he's averaging career highs. You got Sabonis playing out of his mind. Sabonis kind of gives Embiid fits. I want to see Embiid's matchup against him. Miles Turner – could be defensive. Is arguably should be in the defensive player of the year talks. He's been playing phenomenal defense all year, and he doesn't get enough looks. And you get to see TJ McConnell again, which I always love TJ.
Oh God, he had to throw that in there before we wrap up.
But yeah, I want to see the healthy lineup against Indiana. Minnesota, I could care less.
Yeah,
Charlotte, I could care less. But Minnesota,
I'll just say right now, if Joel doesn't play, it'll just be freaking nice to see a road win without Joel Embiid. I don't care.
This dude just said that the Sixers released photos of traveling and Embiid is there.
Wow, I hope so.
So I guess we'll see him.
Yes, sir. So for myself, for George, for Snap, you can follow us on Twitter at Phaithful Fans 2. You can follow each of us personally. Our names are right here, or they're in the bio, or the Phaithful Fans 2. Go Sixers, go Flyers, because they play tonight as well against the New Jersey Devils. And JT is back. Have a nice night.